Hollywood veteran Jonathan Silverman is probably best known for his starring role in the cult hit Weekend at Bernie's, but for the past 30 years, Silverman has been an industry mainstay, starring alongside some of Hollywood's biggest names in countless movies and television shows, directing his own films, appearing on Broadway. And now Silverman's latest role has him playing Harrison Marlowe, a recently separated businessman who discovers that his wife has been dating their son's best friend on the CW's new comedy, Significant Mother. All right, how did this one come about?
Sorry, Larry. It's such an honor to be sitting across
Jonathan.
from you and to be talking to a Dodger fan who's bigger than me. But to hear someone who I have worshipped and watched, and I'm sorry, I've got to kiss your butt a little bit, but it comes back to me in a second. To hear you actually talking about me it's just surreal
About
right
you,
now.
Jonathan,
so,
about me.
So just hearing you mentioning my name, let alone some credits.
Well,
how did this one?
Significant Mother.
Significant Mother. It's a very funny show. It's a half-hour comedy. I play a man who's been in a marriage for 25 years, 26 years, probably married his wife when we were in high school. And he hasn't been the best of all husbands, and he's been cheating a little bit and getting caught a little bit. And the wife, played by the gorgeous Krista Allen, says enough is enough. We're separating, and she's decided to date for the first time since we were kids. And she has chosen to date a younger man, which is interesting television enough, but it's a younger man who also happens to be our son's best friend, who practically grew up in our living room watching Sesame Street, and now this is who she's sleeping with.
And you know this kid, obviously.
I know this kid a little too well, and once I put the pieces together and figure it out, now I want her back. Now I'm about to be the perfect husband, and will do whatever I can to win back her love.
So there's no other in your life at the time?
No. Once this happens, it's 100% back.
And how is your son taking it?
Poor kid. I mean, he's just getting over his parents splitting up, and now his best friend is sleeping with his mom, and his dad is making his life miserable, and our son owns a restaurant that I financed, and it's doing very well, and he's hired his best friend to be the bartender. So it's this wonderful little crazy cyclical world, and it makes for good comedy, if nothing else.
Are there any sexual scenes?
There's lots of sexual scenes. Do you like sexual scenes?
Yeah.
There's a number of sexual scenes.
The young man and the
yes,
wife?
there's a lot of nudity. So far, I haven't had to take my clothes off, thankfully, but everyone else has had to at one point.
We will now see a clip from CW's new comedy, Significant Mother.
Thank you for investing in my dream.
You're welcome.
Why didn't you bring a pizza? You always bring a pizza.
I brought you something much better than pizza. I brought you motivation. If this article goes well, I have an investor who wants to finance a second restaurant.
Really?
Yeah.
Wait, can we call it food?
Yeah.
No, of course not. But don't get ahead of yourself.
We have to impress this blogger first. She has over 5 million followers, but if she likes you, my investor will like you, and if she doesn't like you, well, your dream dies.
Not a lot of people can wear pink and get away with it, Larry.
That's true. Very good,
I just
Jonathan.
learned that. Thank you.
You're the
sir.
biggest name on the show. You have the most experience on the show. Are you the leader in this show? Are you the guy they look to?
I don't know about that. I love this company. It's such a lovely group of actors and writers and producers and directors. They allowed me to direct an episode, so I was thrilled to crack that whip for.
How many have you done?
We shot 9 episodes, and I directed the 6th, and I had a blast. And
And it airs when?
It airs Monday nights, 9:30 p.m., 8:30 Central on the CW network.
Wow, so there's another leaf in your shrouded lamp.
I'm out there doing my thing, and I'm also I've joined the cast for the 3rd and final season of a wonderful HBO show called Getting On, starring Laurie Metcalf and Niecy Nash, and it's a thrill.
How do you
to be
view
on that.
your career, Jonathan?
As long as I have one, I'm happy to view it.
You've always worked, haven't you?
I've been a very lucky man. One of the 2 of my absolute favorite people that I ever had the pleasure of working with, I worked with relatively early on in my career, and I worked with one of them twice, Jack Lemmon and John Lithgow. And those 2 not only were and still are my favorite actors, but they are my favorite people. And I remember talking to both of them about careers and longevity and choices. And they both had similar responses in terms of giving me some advice. And it was, don't be too hot, don't be too cold. If you can stay nice and lukewarm, you're going to have a fine, long career.
Jack Lemmon was always one of my favorite guests and a great guy. What did you do with him?
I did 2 movies with him. I did the sequel to The Odd Couple. Neil Simon gave me my first break and had continued to just put me in his Broadway plays and movies. So this was the sequel to the famous Oscar and Felix Odd Couple. I was Oscar Madison's son marrying Felix Unger's daughter. But then I did an HBO movie with Jack where we played father and son with Joanna Gleason and Talia Shire. And that was great.
He was a great actor.
He was just...
John Lithgow, not bad either.
John Lithgow is a gem, an absolute gem.
Do people still approach you about Weekend at Bernie's? That still shows, right?
They do. I'm thrilled and shocked and confused that this little movie that we made 25 years ago still...
It's a cult classic, right?
It's turned into a cult. And when we made it, I was lucky just to have the job. I had no idea people would find it amusing. It's about a guy who dies on page 20 and we drag him around the Hamptons for the rest of the weekend. But it made people laugh. As a matter of fact, we even, this particular episode that you showed a clip from, it'll be the 4th of the 9, is a Weekend at Bernie's themed episode, and the young man who plays my son accidentally ingests some medication which makes him fall asleep, and he has a very important interview with a blogger, and we have to drag him around a la
Do you stay in touch with Andrew McCarthy?
I stay in touch with Andy. He's now a big director himself. He directs a lot of episodes of one of the best TV shows around called Orange is the New Black, and Terry Kaiser. Yeah, he's good.
How did you start, Jonathan?
Neil Simon. Neil Simon found me in Los Angeles. I was in my senior year of high school, and I auditioned many times for the casting director and producers, but Neil saw me in L.A. and sent me off to New York, and 8 days later I was starring in his hit play Brighton Beach Memoirs, which he then allowed me to do the movie of.
Which I saw you do.
Did you see me do that?
I hear he's not doing well.
I last saw him about 2 years ago, and
he's not public anymore.
I don't know. We had a lovely conversation, but I wish him nothing but the best. He's the man who discovered me, and
he's a genius.
He's an absolute genius, the most prolific and kindest writer I've ever worked with.
Got a theater named after him. You can't beat that.
How about that?
Do you mostly like comedies?
I tend to gravitate towards them, but perhaps I find it easier. But I'm an equal opportunity thespian. I'm happy to tackle any role.
You're the kind of guy. Are you always seeing scripts?
I'm always seeing them. I'm not necessarily being offered them, but I do get a chance to see them. I do get a chance to get a crack at them.
That you work a lot.
I do work a lot. I have a hard time saying no, but I have slowly learned how to. It's not an easy thing for me to say, especially when they're friends who ask me to come jump on board, when they're people I've worked with who ask me to come back and play with them. So I try and do what I can for myself and for them, but saying yes is a lot easier.
Ever turned down something you regretted?
Yeah. I didn't actually turn it down, but years and years ago, the first TV pilot I ever did was by Marta Kaufman and David Crane, who a year later went on to do a little show called Friends. And I had known them from New York, from all of our theater days. And we made this terrific pilot with Megan Mullally and Helen Slater, and it was called Couples for ABC. And it was about these 6 friends who were all married to each other. And it was terrific. It was a one-camera show, but ABC didn't pick it up, and we were all kind of floored. But NBC the next year said, "We love this show. We're gonna make you all single instead of couples, so we'll have more opportunities to write romantic comedy for you, and we're gonna call it Friends, and it'll be great." And me, the Chacham, said, no, it didn't work for ABC. Why should it work for NBC?
Turned down Friends.
And my best friend, David Schwimmer, said, yeah, you know what the heck, I'll do it. And it turned out okay for everyone else. But Matthew Perry, years later, introduced me to my wife, so it all works out, and it worked out even better.
Your wife's an actress, right?
My wife is a damn good actress, yeah. She's a 3-time Emmy winner. Currently, she stars on a wonderful FX show called Tyrant, which, if you haven't seen it, Larry, it's your kind of show. It for the most part, is a fictional country in the Middle East, and it's about the royal family. It's very similar to the...
a comedy.
It's hysterical to the leaders of Syria, the Bashar Assad family. It's very similar to that.
I'm told you don't do social media.
I'm learning, and actually because my
I do
wife...
Twitter, but I dictate it.
You tell someone else what to do. I'm just now starting to do the Twitter, but I do Instagram because my wife and I are so many thousands of miles apart so often. So at least this way we know what the other one is doing.
You have children?
We're going to start. We're going to start very soon. If she comes back from the Middle East and hungry to start.
You do a Grinky.
I do a Grinky. I will go. I will go visit.
First job.
Absolutely.
Do you ever go back to Broadway?
I would love to go back to Broadway. If you know anybody who wants to hire me, I will go back in a second.
I would think you'd get a lot of shots.
I would like a shot, but I haven't had a Broadway shot. I do a lot of plays in L.A. I do plays at the Taper and all the little theaters up and down Santa Monica Boulevard, but I'd love to get back to New York.
Jonathan, you're terrific.
Larry, I'll see you at the stadium.
And the show is Significant Mother. It's on CW, and it airs...
Monday nights, 9:30.
Monday nights, 9:30.
Please watch.
CW. Please watch it. Watch Jonathan. He needs this so
desperately
bad. Thank you, Jonathan.
God, such a pleasure. Sir.
My pleasure.
Such a pleasure.
Thank you.